What do you think about when you hear the name Julia Roberts? Many probably see her unique smile, and others surely think about one of the most iconic roles of her career as Vivian Ward in Pretty Woman. And what would you say if I mentioned her niece, Emma? Most likely, many wouldn't be able to avoid thinking about the stormy relationship she had for a few years with her now ex-partner, Evan Peters. And yes, others will think of her as Madison from the popular series American Horror Story. But here comes a more difficult question. What comes to your mind when you hear the name Eric Roberts? If, like me, you went blank, don't worry, because in this video I will tell you all about the controversial and awkward brother of Julia Roberts and father of Emma Roberts. Believe me, that this man without a doubt is talented and successful, but he also has a long history of scandals. So get comfortable so you don't miss a single detail of Eric Roberts' controversial life. Ever since the now 63-year-old Eric Roberts came into this world on April 18, 1956, he has been surrounded by actors. It's because his parents owned an acting school. Obviously, that greatly influenced Eric and his younger sisters Lisa and Julia, who decided to become actors. Although, well, in Eric's humble opinion, his daughter Emma and sister Julia, yes, the Julia, would be nothing without him. Well, I'll tell you about this in more detail in a moment. Going back to Eric's early years, as I've already said, the fact that his parents had their own acting school influenced his decision to become an actor. But at the same time, it served as a therapy to get rid of the stutter which he developed in his childhood. And apparently, the story is that the eldest of the Roberts kids was able to memorize long dialogues, but it was a challenging effort to say them because of his speech problem. However, once he started attending his parents' classes, his stutter began disappearing, and thanks to that, his talent was discovered. But when Eric got rid of one problem, he got himself into another one, and he was about to experience the first great battle of his life. What I mean is that Eric had to go through the divorce of his parents when he was still very young. And considering that the young boy was really attached to his dad Walter, when his mother, Betty Lou, remarried to the film critic Michael Motes, Eric had a hard time getting along with his stepfather. That caused his relationship with his mother to fall apart, and the actor started to have affairs and abuse illegal substances from a very young age. And that would cost him a lot in the years to come. Despite that, Eric never abandoned his goal of becoming one of the most recognized actors in the industry. You will later see why I say so. After moving abroad to study at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London in his teenage years, and then at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, finally in 1976, he got his first big break when he played the role of Ted Bancroft in the soap opera Another World. But Eric didn't like that role very much and continued exploring. His search paid off, and after playing several characters, mostly in theater, there finally came the time to play one of the most memorable roles of his career. Of course, I'm talking about Dave Stefanovic in King of the Gypsies from 1978, which earned him a Golden Globe nomination. But Eric was about to face another complicated test of life again. In 1981, Robert suffered a major car accident that put his life at severe risk. If you think that I'm exaggerating, listen to this. The actor was in a coma for 3 days due to a brain contusion, and several of his bones were fractured. But without a doubt, what marked his life and career the most was the facial trauma that he also suffered. It affected him a lot, and because his face changed so much, from that moment he found himself receiving the roles of villains. But that's not that bad. Well, thanks to that, in 1985, he got an Oscar nomination for his character Buck McGeehee in the movie Runaway Train. What was actually bad was that it seemed like Eric took his roles of villains too seriously. Why? It's because in the following years, he started behaving like one. That dark chapter of his life had already started in 1987 when Eric showed signs that something was wrong. In that year, he was arrested for harassing a woman and for physically assaulting a police officer. And both events took place while the actor was under the influence of drugs. In the end, Roberts pled guilty and the charges were later dropped. And now it's time to talk about Eric's very problematic and dangerous actions. So, at the beginning of the 90s, the actor met Kelly Cunningham, and they quickly fell in love. Then, on February 10, 1991, they welcomed their daughter Emma. But not long after the arrival of this new family member, her parents ended their relationship because of accusations of domestic violence brought against the actor. After he was charged, Julia's brother publicly announced that he had a drug problem. Eric's behavior not only cost him the relationship with his daughter's mother, but also the custody of little Emma, and years of being estranged from not only his sister but also his friend Julia Roberts. And it's because Eric couldn't stand the fact that his own sister had not only sided with his ex-wife, but also bought her a house where she could live with little Emma. Did Eric expect that people would applaud and defend his macho and cowardly behavior? It wasn't until 2004, when Julia gave birth to her twins, that she and Eric made peace. On that occasion, the actor and his current wife Eliza went to the hospital to visit Julia and to bring some gifts for the newborns. Eric once revealed that he wasn't sure if his sister would take him back, but when he arrived, they not only made up, but it was as if they had never fallen apart. Julia really has a heart of gold. There's one more questionable thing. The very humble Eric Roberts some time ago stated in an interview that he was proud that everyone knew that he became an actor first, and that if it wasn't for him, neither Julia nor his daughter Emma would be as successful as they are. And, well, yes, I have to acknowledge the fact that in his long career, Eric has starred in a total of 487 films and television productions, in addition to making appearances in several music videos by Mariah Carey and Rihanna. But damn, a little humility wouldn't hurt Eric. Anyway, it seems that finally, after his dark past including abuse and domestic violence, Eric learned his lesson. Because since 1992, he's been married to Eliza Roberts, and that makes them one of the longest-lasting marriages in Hollywood. And honestly, Eliza has to be an angel. Why? We could make a whole video about it. But what I can tell you now is that throughout these 27 years of marriage, poor Eliza has had to deal with not only abuse, like that time in 1995 when Eric was even arrested, but also she had to live through the effects of her husband's addictions. Eliza herself had once said that she often tells Eric that, despite everything, he's simply extraordinary. I'm not here to judge anyone, so I'm not going to say anything, because everyone lives their relationship as they want. After all, they've been together for so many years. What do you think? Did you know all this information about Eric Roberts? Do you think it's real love between him and Eliza, or a rather toxic codependence? Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with Curiosips. Until next time.